being the month of Rabiul Awwal, I thought it's appropriate to maybe talk regarding continuing our topic on marriage, on family issues and how to have a good Islamic family relationship. We talked about last time, if you remember, we talked on how to maintain the family bond, family ties, how often to see one another, who should you be more in touch with. We talked on various things regarding family bond and keeping a good relationship. So now we want to see how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through his example, how he had this family bond and these family ties. How did he bring this about in his family unit? That's what we want to see. Because we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Qur'an that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is our true example. He is the one that we aspire to become like. He is our role model. He is the one that we know that was beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is why we try to emulate him, in order to become beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala too, in order to get that closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how do you gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's closeness? Is by emulating Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's life. Because he did it. He got to that stage where he was the most, and he is the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we know that, right? On the face of this earth, there was not a human being that was closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he showed us, through his example, he showed us how a person can gain that closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we research regarding his lifestyle. We understand how he was with his family members. Specifically so, how he was with his children, how he was with his uncles and aunties. His parents passed away when he was very young. Abdullah, his father, passed away before his birth. And his mother passes away when he is just a baby. So how he dealt with his actual biological parents, this is something that is not for us to see, but we see how he was with those who stood in place of his parents. How was he with his uncle? How was he with his grandfather? How was he with all the other family members of his? How did he treat them? What was his relationship with them? That he was so concerned for them. He would make dua for them. He would go to them. They pushed him away. They drove him away. They would physically abuse and hurt him. His closest cousin brothers who were his same age, who had grown up with him from a young age, they would make up poetry mocking Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he came out with the message of Islam. This is the way that they treated him. But yet when these very individuals come and they now understand the truth and they have been granted hidayah, they have been granted guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they want to accept Islam, how he welcomes them, how he treats them. This was how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he honored his uncle Hamza radiyallahu anhu. Yes, he honored him to such a level. Sayyid al-Shuhada, the leader of all martyrs. His uncle Abbas radiyallahu anhu, how he honored him. How he honored the various different people that had some sort of connection and relationship with him. To the extent that even when he finds out that this person is related to me, not through blood relation, but through milk relation, that this person is related to me, how he honors them. He sits with them, he He hosts them in the best of ways that he can, spends time with them. Look at how busy Rasulullah ﷺ was, yes? How busy he is. But still he spends time with these people, with family members. He gives them their right. This is the way of Rasulullah ﷺ. So we have to learn from this, right? That no matter how busy we may be, no matter how busy we may regard ourselves, we have to give time to especially to those family members of us that we talked about last time. If you remember, the first category of people that you should be in contact with were those people who are immediate family members. Your parents. Your parents, and then we talked about how your children, goes without saying, but spending time with them. Especially for us growing up in this country, and then especially for us growing up in London. How busy it is here, right? Then some people will say, yeah, I'm just so busy. And you don't get time for the children. The only time you have time for the children is maybe on an Eid day, some people, unfortunately, yes? And some people even work on an Eid day. They won't even get that time. On days when they are off from school, maybe you will be working. Here and there, maybe you will have a bit of time. And that time will only go in just not really spending good time, quality time with them. Everybody desires and wishes to have a good child, yes? A father comes to me and says, make dua that Allah makes my son a good son. Yeah, a mother will say that I'll make my children, make dua, and she may even make dua that, oh Allah, make my son a good son, make my daughter a good daughter. And this is something that you should make dua for. We learned regarding this from the Qur'an. The Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us examples of this, how they would make dua for their children. Ya'qub alayhi salatu wasalam making dua for his children. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam making dua for his children and his progeny to come afterwards. We learn of this. How Luqman Hakim, he is advising his son. How wonderfully he advises his son. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us various examples in the Qur'an. Even to the extent that Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, he is attempting to make dua for his son who's not even a Muslim, who didn't believe in him. But because he understood from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told him, that I will save your family, he says that my son is my family too. And he's making dua for his son. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is not your family member. He is not from your ahl because he is not somebody who accepted Islam. So don't talk to me about him. The point being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still tells us regarding this. Why does He choose to tell us regarding this? Allah didn't need to tell us regarding this. This instance of Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam making dua for his child. But He's telling us how important it is that we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our children. We think that we make dua, maybe we make dua once in a while. And that much is enough. No, we have to make dua every salat. After every salat, make dua for your children. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. All we have to say to Allah, oh Allah, make our children the coolness of our eyes. Make them the sadaqatul jariyah for us, oh Allah. Make them that legacy for us that we leave behind that becomes tremendous, enormous treasure for us in hereafter, oh Allah. Oh Allah, make them the ambassadors of deen on this earth. Make them your khulafa, the ones that will propagate your Islam. Utilize them for the service of your deen. How many du'as you can carry on making du'a for your children? Oh Allah, protect them from evil. Safeguard them. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. We make those du'as for our children. So I always say, when a father says that, Allah, make my son, make my daughter a good daughter, I say it's all good making du'a, But in order for your son to become a good son, you're going to have to be a good father first. In order for your daughter to become a good daughter, you're going to have to be a good mother first. Why? Because our children learn from us. Like it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you like to hear it or not, the biggest people that you're going to be influenced by, that you're going to learn from, natural characteristics as well, will be who? Your parents. That's why when you see a young child, and you can almost tell, without knowing their parent, you can almost tell that this child, I think this child is this person's son, or this person's daughter. Isn't it? You can tell by physical features, but also by their conduct. The way they behave, the way they sit, the way they move, yes? Whether you like it or not, sometimes some people don't like to be attributed that way, and this is something that we should think about, contemplate. Because sometimes I mentioned to some youngster that you behave exactly like your father, you speak like your father, or you walk like your own father, and they don't like that connection. They don't like that attribution. They get offended. And I'm wondering that why are you offended? Why are you offended that I am calling you, that I'm saying that you resemble your father in this way? Why would you be offended? It's sad to see that offense that a child is taking on, or a youngster is taking on, isn't it? But what do we see? That means the connection between this son and his father is not strong, is not one of respect, is not one that I want to aspire to become like my father. So how are we going to create good children when we're not setting good examples ourselves? So it's very important that if you want a good son, you become a good father as well. Very important. What do? We learn regarding how to become a good father. From what? From all the various examples in the Qur'an Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to us. Inshallah, we will go through that in our other sessions. Today's session is not regarding that, but inshallah we'll talk about how parents are given examples in the Qur'an, how to become a good parent. What kind of example are we meant to be? A father as well as a mother. A good example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to us in the Qur'an. Various examples Allah gives to us. You can connect with any one example or the multiple examples Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to us, and you can take from that and then start to adopt that into our lives. And you will see wonderful changes just by the simplest of things that we do. We do something very simple now. We never used to do it. We weren't doing it before. We changed that one thing that we used to do previously. And what happens now? Immediately we start seeing a change in behavior and connection and more love and compassion and harmony between us and our children. You will see that. So inshallah, slowly we will discuss this in the further sessions to come, in the next months to come, inshallah. Today's session, I wanted to spend a bit more time to learn, because of the month of Rabiul Awwal, we want to spend about how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, and how he behaved with the family members around him, how he treated his children. How was it that he treated his children? Is that he cared for them. He loved them. He loved them to the extent that when he found a good person that they could be with, that they could spend the rest of their life with, he got them married. That's the love that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed towards his children. We know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he married off two of his daughters, to Uthman radiallahu anhu, known as Dhin Nurain, the one who had the possessor of two lights, the two daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Kulthum and Ruqayya radiallahu anhu. So this is Uthman radiallahu anhu, married off to two of the daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know that Fatima radiallahu anha was married to who? Ali radiallahu anhu. And who was Ali radiallahu anhu? Ali radiallahu anhu was the son of Abu Talib, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was practically the carer of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam until he passed away. He looked after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he was the full uncle, meaning the full brother of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's father. They shared the same mother as well as obviously the same father. So Abdullah, father of Prophet ﷺ, and Abu Talib, they were full brothers. So because when obviously Abu Talib, he sees my nephew is born, my brother is not around, What did Abu Talib do as any good man with good morals would do? Look after his nephew. He says, I will look after my nephew. I will be his father replacement. I will look after him. And he looked after him throughout his infanthood. He looked after him throughout his, made him a young adult. Grew him up into somebody who was mature enough, regardless of his age, mature enough to be able to travel with him on a business trip to distant lands, to the likes of Sham, to the likes of Yemen, to different areas where Abu Talib would then travel. Can you imagine a youngster, a tender age of 6, tender age of younger than that even, traveling with their uncle on business trips? This is what Abu Talib, he did, and he matured him up. He made him into a man. And this is the connection that he had with who? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has with Abu Talib, his uncle. When Abu Talib passes away, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam now, he sees that my uncle has passed away and he has left behind a son, Ali radiallahu anhu, yes? And this Ali, he was very young yet. This Ali radiallahu anhu, and he sees that my uncle, my cousin, brother, I'm going to have to now care for him. Do you see how it works? Where Abu Talib now, he instilled into Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam such morals, such manners through example, that he cared for his nephew. This very nephew grows up and understands that my uncle is no longer alive and his son needs to be cared for. So Ali radiallahu anhu was somebody who was taken under the wing guardianship of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would be very watchful and careful and would care for Ali radiallahu anhu, to the extent that when Ali radiallahu anhu reaches the age of marriage, what does Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do? He gets him married to his own daughter. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's conduct, his behavior with those people who are immediately around him. Do we see this? We're learning something here about how a person deals with and behaves with people around him. Unfortunately today, my heart really aches and pains when I have to say this to brothers here and the sisters here. A 20-year-old girl comes. A 20-year-old girl gets in contact and says that, can you speak to my father? I say, what for? What's wrong? She says, my father is not accepting me to get married. So I say, well, why not? He's just being stubborn. Can you speak to him? So I say, no problem, I'll go to speak to him. So I go to the father, speak to the father, but obviously many people have spoke to the father before me already, right? So the father obviously is not having anything, so he says that, what have you come for? So I come to speak to you regarding your daughter. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anything regarding my daughter. I said, no problem, I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to try convincing you. I just want to know your reasons. I want to know what your reasons are, so I can convey that to your daughter and try to make her understand that these are the valid reasons of your father, why he doesn't want you to get married. What does he say? She's too young. She's too young. So what do everyone say? What does everyone think here? Let's have a vote here for the brothers that are here. I can't see the sisters, but at least we can vote amongst the brothers. What does everybody think? That she's too young? 20-year-old, do you think? No? No? I see a lot of people shaking their heads. But if you're saying, yeah, it's fine, you can have that opinion, it's up to you. If you think she's too young, 20-year-old, no problem. Tell me that she's too young. Maybe I'm wrong. What does everyone think? Everyone thinks she's too young?
She's a woman, sure.
She's a woman. A 20-year-old is a woman. If she's telling you she wants to get married, then I don't see why a parent is not facilitating. Now, if you're telling me she's too young, and you're telling me she's too young, why? Because she's not mature enough yet. Then my question to you as a parent is that what were you doing for 20 years? What were you doing for 20 years that she's still not mature enough to get married at 20? Ajib, I find it strange that for 20 years you did not think that I can mature her up to that level that at 20 she can get married. In fact, earlier than that. What is it that we see? Do we not see around us? Do we not see around us the corruption? I think that some people maybe just purposefully, they just veil their eyes. They put a veil on their eyes. Maybe because they want to, I don't know, protect themselves somehow. But by veiling yourself, will the reality go away? It's like a child, yeah? You know, a little child. You know, the children at home, sometimes they want to play, especially when the cousins and everyone gets together, they want to play hide and seek, yes? Everyone has that, yeah? Play hide and seek. So the youngest child, how will they play hide and seek? What will they do? Okay, everybody hide now. So if somebody's counting, the youngest child will do what? They'll go to the wall and they'll cover their eyes against the wall. Yeah, you've seen that, yes? And you think you're laughing. No. Just because you can't see that person doesn't mean they can't see you. They will still see you. You have to hide in a better place. But a child will what? No, I can't see, so they can't see me. This is how the child will be. So this is how, unfortunately, you think that this is a child, right? This is how, unfortunately, many parents are behaving. What are they doing? They're turning a blind eye as though this is not happening in our society, right? Nothing's happening. Look, just because I can't see it, that means nothing is happening. What is happening in our societies? I mean, I don't want to sit here scaring people because that's not the topic. But to explain to you the gist of it, because I have students who are doctors, professional doctors, many of them, mashallah, who have doctors. And I can go to every one of them. I go to every one of them sometimes. I just talk to them and I ask them, especially when I'm going to talk about this topic, that what's the scene? And they say, you know, Sheikh, I don't know if I should even tell you, you know, this thing, but I only tell you because so you can do something about it. Because they are there, they have to do certain clinics. So when they have to do a clinic in an abortion clinic, and they have to work in an abortion clinic in the hospital, they say our heart cries when we see so many, not just one or two, so many Muslim girls coming and doing and carrying out an abortion. And who do they come with? A friend. That's it. Who knows? Nobody knows. No parent will find out because you can't. This is confidential. You can't unveil it. You can't say to anybody, and you can't even say anything to that girl. You can't say anything as a doctor. You can't say anything to that girl. You can't. They'll report you. So how much this is happening in our societies? That's just one end of it. That's just one part of it. But the thing is, but the sad thing that really hurts me is that we know, right? Every one of us that are sitting here is old enough. That's why I chose to even mention about this. I see that there are not people who are any too young to discuss this particular topic. So you see, when we have been through that stage, have we not been through that stage of life? Have we not seen when we were younger what people do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah, maybe protected us. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. But did we not see things going on? Do we not know? And do you think it's getting better? Like today, maybe it's getting better, yeah? Maybe the fitnah is less nowadays. What do you think? Total opposite, isn't it? The fitnah is much more. The exposure to sexuality, to a hypersexual society in the world, the exposure that a youngster will have is much earlier now. Yes or no? They're teaching a 9-year-old in schools regarding sexual education. Yes or no? And parents are worried that this is too young. What are you doing to our children? Yes, everybody knows about this. Yes or no? This is becoming normalized. Normalized, completely normalized. Where we didn't even know at that age what this is, but they're being shown genitalia. They're dissecting and they're naming and they're drawing and they're coloring. They do all sorts of things in schools. And that's just in the school. What do they have available on the palm of their hand? What do you think they have available to them? The internet is completely corrupted. TikTok. Every youngster is on TikTok now. And you can't even view safely yourself TikTok, yes or no? You think, delete this app. And the youngsters going by with TikTok, carrying on viewing one after the other. Yes or no? And this fitnah has become so bad this fitnah has become, that this fitnah is even entered the masjid, the holy place which was meant to be pure. You will see a youngster sitting in the masjid scrolling in TikTok. Yes, scrolling. and the khutbah will be happening in Jumu'ah, and there will be a person, there will be people sitting there watching what? Viewing TikTok, checking out Instagram, checking out this, checking out that. In the masjid, whilst the khutbah is going on, the time when the dua was meant to be accepted. And this is what they are doing today. So in such a society, a child is growing up, yes? Is it a surprise when they then turn out to be, the other end of something that's corrupted? Things are happening in our society. And let's look at this, yes? Your grandparents, let's not go too far, your parents maybe even, for some of the older generation that may be here, mashallah, if you ask them that what age did you get married? What do you think the age bracket would be? 30? 25? 19? 18? Some of them as young as 16. Yeah, but what do you think, about 20, 21, do you think they would have been married probably, yes? Yes, would there anybody beyond 21? Hardly. Only if there was a special reason, maybe they came to the country and they were trying to sort out their visa and whatever else, and they were traveling, so their marriage got delayed. But by 23, that was a bit too late for a person, yes or no? I'm talking about your parents' age, I'm talking about your grandparents' age, yes or no? And that was in a society which was as corrupt as today, do you think? No, it was not as corrupt as today. But today's society is so corrupt, yes or no? And yet we push the age of marriage further. Today, 25 is early. Yes or no? 25 is early. 30 is like becoming normal now. So do you think that their desires from the age of as young as 13, 14, 15, where it starts to develop, do you think that their desires are now going to be shut off now? They're going to control until 30 now, yes? Is that what logically is going to happen? It's not going to happen, is it? Where is that desire going to pent? Shah Hakim Akhtar Sahib, he was a very great spiritual reformer. Many people would go to him to give bay'ah, and he would rectify their lives spiritually. He used to say, such profound wording. He used to say that fill yourself up with so much halal that your nafs, your body doesn't even ever call you to haram. Example. I'll give you an example to make you understand, right? If you're hungry, right? And then you stuff yourself. You eat, and then the brothers bring more pizza, right? Oh, there's some more pizza. Who's gonna eat one more slice? Come on, we need to finish this. Everybody, one more. You stuff yourself, right? Yeah, I've eaten so much today, right? So then you go outside and you walk past these nice takeaways outside. Yeah. And then somebody offers you, come brother, come, let's eat food. What will you say? No, I'm stuffed today. No, don't. And then they're going to say, no, look, nice food. You say, no, take that away from me. I feel sick by looking at food right now. Yes or no? You feel sick looking at or smelling that food. Oh, it's too much. I've eaten too much. Yes or no? Why? Because your hunger has now been satisfied. Yes? But if you're hungry, like maybe you are now, yes? If you're hungry and you walk outside and you're going past each takeaway, each restaurant, and that nice smell of chicken wings is coming out, yes? What's going to happen? Will you be tempted or not? You will be tempted. You'll go past one shop, you'll be tempted, you'll maybe suppress that temptation. You'll go past another one. What will happen one time? You'll give in, isn't it? You'll give in. And you will eat that greasy food, that food that the doctor told you not to eat. You will go and eat that, yes or no? Why? Because you're hungry. Can you see the example now? What he is saying here. Fill yourself with so much halal that your body, your nafs, nothing, it doesn't call you to haram. This is the halal outlets that Shariat has kept for us. Shariat has kept for us halal. But then we are restricting our youngsters from that halal. We're saying to the 20-year-old that you're too young. You're too young. And I asked this father, but is there any other reason that you're saying no? Well, is that not good enough? She's too young. She's 20, she's too young. Well, is that not good enough? And I'm thinking, I'm scratching my head, that did this man not go through youth? Did he not know? Does he not know? Does he not remember his own youth? That you are making it difficult for your daughter now. And your daughter is now hell-bent on getting married. And I'm saying to this father, and I'm saying this, and I'm telling this father that your daughter, do you know that your daughter has said that with or without you, I'm getting married to this guy? And that's what happens in this society nowadays, yes or no? With or without you, I have picked my person. Then what's going to happen? The pride will kick in. Now you get married to him, you are not my daughter anymore. This door is closed for you. Yes or no? But do you think that's going to stop her? Does it stop majority of them? No. So you have just lost your child over what? Over stubbornness. Over not understanding the need. Do we not understand the need? I fail to understand the need that is there for our youngsters to get married. And if your excuse, validly so, I'm not saying this is not an excuse, your excuse is that they are not mature enough. Yes? Then I will tell you and I will show to you 30-year-olds that are not mature enough and they're married. A 30-year-old that is there playing PlayStation all day long. Yes or no? Do we know not youngsters like this or not? We call him a youngster. He's 30 years old. He's 25 years old. He's 27 years old. And he spends all night outside with his friends and he comes home at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., maybe even later than that. Yes or no? And he is married. And maybe he is even having a child. He has a child. But he spends all day on a computer game. So then this 30-year-old is not mature as well. Why are you getting this 30-year-old married? What's the need? Why get them married then? It's societal pressures, you see. It's what society expects of us. Society says that a 20-year-old is too young. So what is society going to think of me that I got my young 20-year-old daughter married? That's what's stopping this father. Nothing else. Nothing else, let me tell you. It's what will society say. Are we that much blinded and so much caring of society? That society that will think not twice will they think of speaking behind us? Do we not see that relationship that we should have with our children? That why did it take this daughter to get to 20 years old and you did not know that my daughter is thinking along these ways? That she had to come and say, shock to that parent now. Shock to that parent now, isn't it? That what? I'm looking, I want to, I found somebody, I want to get married. Shock in the system, isn't it? And my question is, did you not know your daughter that well? Did you not know that she's been seeing this guy for the last 2 years? It's not happened in an instant. It's not like she saw somebody, in 1 week she decided to marry him. Is it like that? She's been with him for the past 2 years. They've been talking at night. They've been text messaging. They've been maybe seeing each other. This is just an example I am using. I'm trying to use this example to make people understand what is happening in society and what relationship we should have with our children. The relationship connection that we're having understanding of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he understood Ali radiyallahu anhu, and he got his cousin brother Ali radiyallahu anhu at that young age married to his daughter Fatima radiyallahu anha. This is the example that we're learning from here. Do we understand? This is the example Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam left us with. There are so many examples of this. The most famous, who is the big thing that people raise an objection against is what? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's marriage with who? Aisha radiyallahu anha herself. Yes or no? A big objection against this for some people. But why is it an objection? Why is it an objection is the question. Is it a point of objection? Because today society will say, because 2 years ago, society would allow you, the law would have allowed you to get your 16-year-old daughter, 16-year-old son married. Did you know that? But today the law says, nope, you're not allowed anymore. You're not allowed to do that. Tomorrow the law will say that a 21-year-old, you're not allowed to get them married. But that same 21-year-old, that same 18-year-old, if they wish to live with somebody themselves outside of marriage, that's perfectly fine. That's fine. There's nothing morally wrong with that. But the minute you get them married, oh, there's something wrong with that now. Isn't it? This is the moral society, this is the morals that we're judging our society with. Aisha radiallahu anha, even if there is difference of opinion regarding this, but even if we consider that Aisha radiallahu anha was married to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at a young age, we have nothing in our hearts. Remember, this is, I'm saying to you people, why? Because we need to think in ourselves as well. Because sometimes I talk to a Muslim, perfectly fine Muslim, he's praying salat as well, and she's praying salat as well, and we say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam married Aisha radiallahu anha at this young age. So they think, oh yeah, I'm not really too sure about that. Yeah, they did it, but yeah, I don't really want to talk about that topic. Why? Because in your heart you feel discomfort towards that, isn't it? There is a little discomfort towards that. But we in our hearts can never feel even the slightest discomfort, not even the slightest discomfort towards what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did here. Why? Let me explain. Firstly, the first problem that we have is that would it even be fair to judge Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and what he did in today's society? Would it be fair? So let's look at an example, right? If, for example, let's say I say to you that after this speech today, mashallah, we're going to be having a nice meal. And this nice meal will be, I know it may be a bit gross an example, but I have to give this example, right? To make you understand. But this nice meal will consist of slugs and snails and frogs. That's what we're going to eat today. Are you hungry now? No. Not hungry, are you now? Yeah, the face is going to be like, what are you talking about? Nasty. Yes? You'll frown. You feel, uncomfortable even thinking about it. Right now you're envisaging this snail. Imagine picking it up and putting it onto your tongue. You think, no way. Right? But now, let's go across the pond. Let's go across the river, and we see in a society where it's accepted. They eat this. This is a delicacy. This is a cuisine. This is for them, we eat it. Yes? So you go to places like France, you go to places like China, and they will be eating these things all day long, yes? So you go to a youngster in that area and you say, today after the speech, we'll be eating frogs, snails, yes, slugs. This is what we'll be eating. They say, yes, can't wait for that. Yes or no? So what is it that a youngster living in a country like that is saying yes, and total opposite reaction for us living in this kind of society? What is it? How? Why? Are they not humans? Are they not humans? Of course they're human beings. So how come they are doing the total opposite reaction to what we're doing? What is it? It's society. It's conditioning of society. Society around us conditions the way we think. It's as simple as that. If today we push an agenda and we push it, we give propaganda, we put it into the media, we do mass advertisement about it, of whatever you want to do, something that, let's just take an example, right? That people may be pushing. That it's fine, you don't have to identify yourself to be a male, you don't have to identify yourself to be a female, it's all fine. Neutralize gender, it's all fine. Push it hard. Masses of people will start to come onto the bandwagon, yes or no? And something as ludicrous as this, something as absurd as this claim will start to become normal. People will start to actually buy into it, yes or no? People will start to actually think, yeah, you know what, if somebody wants to identify like that, we can't discriminate against that person. This is wrong, we can't discriminate against this person because of this and because of that. Yes or no? And there'll be mass propaganda, you would say. Indoctrination of people. Yes? And this is what will happen. You can do what you want. You can, as long as you push it out in amongst the people, and you make them think in a certain way, they will think in that way. So we can't help but feel that because of the environment that we will grow up in, what will happen? We will be affected, we will be influenced. Does that make sense? Just like we grow up in a society that doesn't eat these kind of foods, yes? So we will be affected. Our reaction to that food will be that, no, I don't like that. Yes? Whereas it's somebody else that grows up in that, perfectly fine for them. So it's that. So now, would it be fair for us who have grown up in a society, who have been constantly told that marrying somebody at this age is not right, marrying somebody at this age is incorrect, is morally incorrect? Who sets that bar to say that this is morally correct, that this is immoral? Who sets it? Like I said to you, the bar is constantly changing for them. Today it will be 16, tomorrow it will be 18, next day it will be 21. Then why are you going to constantly say that the people in the past were wrong? No. So the best way to then, that means we're not in a position to judge the action of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam of marrying Aisha radiallahu anha. We're not in that position to judge, are we? So who is in the position to judge then? The people of that time. Yes? The people of that society. And in fact, let's look not at the friends of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not the people, the family members of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not the people who got on with him. Let's look at the enemies of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they had every reason to pick out these faults from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes or no? They called him a magician. They called him a poet. They called him a madman. They called him a traitor. They called him everything under the sun, yes or no? They called him everything. But bring me one enemy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that called him a pedophile, that called him a womanizer, that accused him for marrying Aisha radiallahu anha at a young age. Bring me one enemy. Bring me one person. I guarantee you will not be able to bring one person. Not one enemy that accused Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam of marrying Aisha radiallahu anha. They had every reason to do it, no? How come they didn't do it? Why not? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Because there was nothing at all morally wrong with marrying somebody at that age in their time, in that society. So who is in a better position to judge? The people of that society. We cannot sit here and judge the people who are eating frogs are wrong. Who are you to judge that? Yeah, I'm not talking about Shari'i angle, I'm talking about moral angle here. So this is a simple, logical explanation as to why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam marrying Aisha radiallahu anha, we should not have a slightest bit of discomfort in our heart about this. Slightest bit of discomfort. Anyway, this is a big, long topic. But this is just for me because we touched on this topic of getting and facilitating for our young people to get married. We have to allow this. We have to facilitate this. And I see, mashallah, when I said that is the 20-year-old girl too young, mashallah, many people said no. So then the question posed to you is that if you find yourself in this situation, that your young son or young daughter gets to this age, will you consider getting them married then? That's the question. And I give you an example, real life example in society today. There was, for those brothers who know, we had a family business of a restaurant, and there we had a youngster who came, after 16, he wanted to work, so as an apprentice, we took him on, and he worked, and he was working for us for some time. After the age of 17, he took a holiday to go back home. So with nothing of it, no problem, go. Holiday, took a holiday, went back home. When he came back, he came to see me, yeah, and he was like, bright smile on his face, and I was like, oh, mashallah, you come back now, yeah. So he goes, I'm not going to work here anymore. I said, mashallah, no problem. Fine, it's no problem. He said, I wanted to share some good news with you. I said, what's up? I said, I've got married. He's 18 years old. 18 years old, and he's got married, mashallah. So I obviously will start to think, isn't it, that 18-year-old in this society, why did you get married at 18 years old, right? Everyone will think that, right? Because it's unusual. So I asked him, probed a bit. So I asked him a few questions. Like, did you know her from before? He goes, no, I don't know her. Okay. So now my mind starts to think that did his parents force him to get married to this at the age of 18? That he went back home and maybe this was some sort of relative and maybe his parents forced him to get married. So I said, okay, is she like a family member or somebody? No, she's not a family member. Just somebody in the village. So I said, okay. So I said, how come you got married at 18 then? Like, did you not want to get married to somebody over here in this country? Now, how come you got married to somebody back home? He says, no, I'm very happy. I said, well, did you choose yourself? Yeah, I chose myself to get married to her. Like my parents, we went there. Obviously, my parents showed me a few rishtas, a few proposals, and I liked her, and we got married. So I said, wow, like 18 years old. This is very normal in our society. Yeah, it's very normal in our society. He's from South India. So in their society, this was something very normal for them, he says. So he says, this is very normal. I said, oh, okay, but you are. Anyway, a year later, cut the story short, a year later, he comes back to me. He brings me a box of mithai, a box of sweets, and he's saying, I said, what's up? He said, I had a baby. At 19 years old, he's having a baby. And he is so happy. He is so happy. And because after a year, you might think that, the honeymoon period's over. And maybe, so I asked him, what's happening? Are you, yeah, I'm so happy, I know. So I sat him down. I said, come sit to me because I want to talk about this. I want to know about this. So he explains to me how, the parents are so accommodating and they help. Just because I don't have a job at that time, it doesn't mean that I can't get married. My parents are looking after her as well. She's like a daughter to them. And we are living in that family where, my mother is now looking after the baby, helping her, what to do, how to do. This is the harmony in that family. I'm like, mashallah, this youngster, because this youngster is now safe. Can you see this? This youngster is now safe from what? The impurity and the filth that there is in society. Why? Because he knows he's got a loving, caring family at home, and he's got a wife to go to at home, and this wife knows that I've got a loving, caring husband at home, and they're now making a family of their own. They're having a child at 19. Look at the age gap that there will be. Not much of an age gap. Yes, he will be 40 and the child will be 20. Look at the age gap. Very, very 39. Not much of an age gap between them. Do you see this harmony in society? This is what spreads a harmonious, corrupt-free society. Today we have so much corruption. Why? Because of this. Immorality. Why? Because of all of this. We have delayed marriages. And this is what Rasulullah SAW mentioned in the hadith. Yes or no? We don't have time to go into it. It's too lengthy a topic. But hopefully my point has come across. My point has come across that our relationship, main thing I'm trying to explain, our relationship with our children should be so good that if they are veering towards a certain direction, they are now thinking of the opposite gender. They're thinking, you can see that change in them. You see that youngster's now combing his hair, spending a bit of extra time in front of the mirror. Yes, you can see he's gelling his hair back. Yeah, he's trying to get his nice hair. Before, he didn't care his tie was done or not done, in shirt or not in shirt. He was running off. His shoes were undone and he was running off. Creased shirt, doesn't matter. Yes, that's how this youngster was. And all of a sudden now he needs his ironed shirt. Mom, you didn't iron my shirt. My shirt is not ironed. Why? Is it all of a sudden he wants to be neat now? No, he's dressing to impress now. Yes. So you have to realize these changes in the youngster. That youngster is going through these changes. You have to sit them down. You have to explain to them that this is what's going to happen now. This is the changes that the mind will go through. But this is what our Sharia teaches us. But mature them up to that age. When they get to the age when they're able physically to get married, get them married. Get them married. What do? We make our children so dependent on us that I see a youngster, 6, 7 years old child, and what will happen? Mom will say, better come here before going to school, or better come here, I'll do your zip up for you. And I'm like, what? 6, 7 years old. Does he know how to put his zip up himself? Let him put his zip himself up. But no, I need to put the zip up. Because that's the care I show towards my child. Yes, you love your child that much, but don't make your child so dependent on you. So dependent on you that he's 9 years old and he's still calling out for mom when he's done toilet. They come wash my backside. So dependent that he can't even brush his teeth himself yet. Or she can't even brush her teeth yet. She can't even comb her hair. He can't do anything. And now he gets to the age of 15, 16 years old. Yes or no? 15, 16 years old, he doesn't even know how to take out food from the pot. He has to wait for mum to take out food for him in his plate. Yes? So dependent that he's eaten his food, yes? And he will get up and he won't even pick his plate up. And he won't even think twice that I should be picking my plate up, yes? This is a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, because I teach them. And when I say to them, they hang their head in shame because they're doing this. This 17-year-old, this 18-year-old, what? They're eating their food and leaving their food there on the dastarkhan, on the table. And he doesn't even think twice. Why? Because mum or dad, whoever it is, hasn't taught them this. So then you will get to 30 years old and they will still be immature. They will still be immature. They will not understand responsibility. We have to make our children independent. Not so independent, we're calling towards individualism. No, but independent to the stage where they can do their own things. Make them mature so that when they reach the age of 20, you're not turning around to somebody like me and saying, no, she's too young. No, he's too young. They're not mature enough to get married yet. But that's your problem. That's your fault. Because for 20 years, you didn't mature them up. The tarbiyat should have been done by yourself. That they get to the age of 18, like this boy. Now do we see that I was explaining to you that after finishing school at 16 years old as an apprentice, he was already working. He was already working. In the times before where many youngsters would have grown up here, yes or no? What was it? You had to go do paper round. Yes or no? You had to go do paper round. This taught you discipline in life, to wake up at a certain time. That means you're going to have to go sleep at a certain time. The youngster today wants to have marathon runs. On what? On FIFA, or on what? Call of Duty, or on whatever else they're having, Fortnite and whatever else. They want to have marathon runs till 12 a.m., till 12 and 1 a.m. This is unheard of. Then this child is going to grow 18, 19, 20, and they still will not understand what? They will not understand how to live a life. They will not understand responsibility. So our relationship, in a nutshell, we come back to the point, right? Our relationship with our children, we need to learn that relationship that Rasulullah ﷺ had with those who are dependent under him. So when they get to the right ages, we're able to let them flourish. It's like that flower, we allow them to flourish, we allow them to see life, we allow them to take on responsibility in life, but with guidance. With guidance. It's not that we're letting them go completely, you do what you want in life. No, with that under our wing, under our guidance, with that support from us. But this youngster will then slowly, it's like you're holding their hand and you're making them run, and slowly they become expert at running, and then are holding your finger only, and slowly they let go of your finger as well. Now, mashallah, they're living their life smoothly. This is how a parent's relationship should be with their youngsters. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to learn through the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam how to have this bond of family unit. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand these things and to understand the fitnah, the trials, the testing times that we live in. It's not like we can't bring up our children in a society. We can. We just have to adapt to it and learn how to do it the best that we can do it. And obviously make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He guides us and He also guides our children. And He protects them and He continues to guide them. Insha'Allah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to bring this into our lives. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah for listening. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the best of lives and grant our children that protection that they need, and make us the best of examples for our children. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Subhanallah bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.